questions for the actual applicants, I turn it over to them.
You say you have a map. You say that she has a map to see where.
All the evacuation routes are located in. Can you speak into the microphone? Hi.
Name and
Your
address.
name and address.
My name is Christina Wilson, and I'm a representative of the Desert Collection. Our address is, 2000 Northeast 146th Street, North Miami, Florida. And yes, as you can see in this drawing, flip it sideways. There, or there. Okay, there you go.
Orientation, this is north 146th Street.
Right.
And this is the south where our city motor pool sits down here.
Right.
And Biscayne Boulevard would sit off to this side.
Flip it around for them as well. Right. Right. The carnival would like to donate 50 armbands, which it has the dollar value of $1,000 to the city for, for kids, for programs or any of that nature that would, that you guys would see fit to give those to.
Thank you.
Is admission free?
Yes.
What about the rides?
No,
They're not free.
Exactly.
Just asking. That's it?
That's it.
That's it, okay.
Any public hearing is now open? Anyone who wishes to be heard, please do so. Public hearing is now closed. Any comment or question from us? Nothing? All right.
Okay. We just need a motion.
Motion
Move
to-
approval.
Second.
Okay, on tab F, motion was made by
F-1.
Motion made by Councilman Bieneme, seconded by Mayor Joseph. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone wishes to record a no?
No.
Item passes 4-0. Did anyone
No.
record a no?
No. My answer was no.
The answer is no.
He did not record a no.
Oh, okay, I'm confused.
The way we should procedurally do this, all in favor say aye, all opposed say nay.
That's it.
Not ask the question that's begging an answer. What she's doing is giving you the answer.
Okay, tab G. Discussion regarding proposed application by the Village of Biscayne Park to annex an area bordered on the west side of the FEC Railway, on the north side by Northeast 121st Street, on the east side by Biscayne Boulevard, and on the south side by Northeast 119th Street, said area having mutual interest to the city of North Miami.
Staff?
Through the mayor, this item actually is back on the agenda as the direction of the last city council meeting. We attended, well, staff and I, which is Tanya, and we also have a legal representation from Hope Calhoun from the law firm of Donny, Miskell, and Bachman. We attended the planning committee hearing at Miami-Dade County for 3 applications that the city has done at Miami-Dade County. At the request of this city council, I actually requested the deferral of the Biscayne Corridor East application, but also moving the other 2 requests. The other 2 went on to, which is going to be moving on to Miami-Dade County Commission for approval, while the Biscayne Corridor application was deferred. And now I will turn it over to our legal counsel to give a briefing on what happened at the meeting.
Good evening, council members. My name is Hope. Can you all hear me? My name is Hope.
Excuse me, do we have a map that we can project so the public can? Would be nice.
I was asking for that.
Hmm? Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. Good evening. My name is Hope Calhoun. I'm an attorney here on behalf of the city. And just to give a brief overview, there were 3 annexation petitions on the May 2nd local planning agency agenda. The first item for consideration for the City of North Miami is this particular one, the annexation of Biscayne East. We spoke obviously to all three applications. We requested the deferral of the first. Biscayne Park was, the Village of Biscayne Park was present at that meeting. They stated objections to all three annexations. They did not oppose the deferral. What we stated at that meeting was that we were in favor of the deferral or requesting the deferral, again, as your city manager just stated, at the direction of the council in order to continue to work toward potential resolutions. Again, the local planning agency granted our request for deferral. They also granted our requests to approve or recommend approval of the other annexations. So I'm happy to answer any particular questions that you may have. There was a lot of discussion at the meeting. Biscayne Park, again, who is here tonight, made their presentation opposing, and over those objections, we were approved, recommended for approval.
Thank you. Mr. Manager,
Yes.
you were present at that meeting, yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
As well as our planning manager.
That's correct.
I would like to hear a condensed version of what occurred in that condensed, very condensed.
Tanya?
Again, for the record, Tanya Wilson Sejor, Planning Manager, Community Planning and Development. The city transmitted its application to the county back in October of 2013. I believe Biscayne Park transmitted their application a year later based on the county's assessment, because both municipalities are pursuing a mutual area. The boundaries are slightly different, but there's an area that we overlap on. The county had concerns in terms of both municipalities proceeding with applications for the same area, and suggested that we meet and discuss and determine how we intended to resolve those issues. So at the last PAB meeting, Planning Advisory Board meeting, the City of North Miami did ask for a continuance to give us an opportunity to be able to have continued discussions. Because the application was approved by resolution by this council back in 2013, the village has requested to be able to come forward before mayor and council again to ask for a withdrawal of our application, to give them an opportunity to proceed with requesting an application of approval for that annexation area.
Thank you very much. Do you have anything to add, Mr. Manager?
No. I think everything was concisely stated by Ms. Tanya Wilson Sejur.
You said that we applied in October of 2013, right?
October 16 to
That's
2013.
correct, Mr. Mayor.
2013. And Biscayne Park applied when?
2014.
It was March of 2014. It wasn't a year later. It was a few months later.
If I could clarify though, Mr. Mayor, their application was incomplete. Per county code, an incomplete application cannot be processed. So technically, I would define it as a year later because the application wasn't complete to be able to be reviewed.
Now, tell me, when an application is sent downtown in Miami-Dade County, is it published anywhere that such municipality has applied for? Is there a book?
There's
or
a noticing requirement.
Hmm?
There's a noticing requirement per county code. So our
Of-
application, there was a notice issued that we had an intention of annexing that area.
The notice is
Correct.
sent to the neighboring cities, or
It's published in the Miami Herald.
In the newspaper.
It's
Okay.
made public. It's
It's
a
made
published
public.
notice. Correct. Correct.
so an application that has been there for about a year. So most likely the neighboring cities would know that there is an application there.
At Transmiddle, there's
Yeah.
a public notice that's issued. So it's not a private application. It's made known.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask questions of staff before we open it for the public discussion?
Yeah, go ahead.
And now I didn't write the question down and it's going to escape me. Oh, you said that Biscayne Park spoke against all four of our applications.
Three.
One
All
of-
three.
All three of
all
our
three of our
applications.
applications.
Correct.
One of which is contiguous to their boundaries.
Correct.
And it's the Biscayne Boulevard corridor, which is sort of being debated now.
Correct.
The other two are not contiguous.
Not contiguous.
Why did Biscayne Park speak against our applications that were over there and over there if it had nothing to do with their city?
I know they're here, so they're
Yeah,
going
thank
to give
you.
you another portion, but on the record, they indicated that they believe they were materially affected by the two other applications.
What does that mean?
By the city pursuing that annexation area in some way, it injured their abilities to also annex those areas.
And did the
In
board,
short form.
did the board agree, or did the board go
No,
forward?
the board disagreed. Based on the geography, one area is about 10 miles north of their northern limit, and the other area is about 2 miles west. So it's not contiguous.
Thank you.
Wait, Mr. Cazo,
Mr. Mayor,
how you doing?
council members, thank you for allowing me to speak.
How you doing?
Good, good, thank you.
Oh, okay, thank you.
First, I'd like to say, again, thank you for giving us the time, putting this
name?
on the, Jeff Cazo, Becker and Polykoff, 121 Alhambra Plaza, Coral Gables, representing the village of Biscayne Park. Again, thank you for allowing us to speak. Hopefully, you all received the letter that the mayor of Village of Biscayne Park sent you today. I'd like to just read that on the record and then explain some of the things that we talked about tonight. So, to the Honorable City of North Miami and Council, thank you for your time and consideration when you agreed to place the City of North Miami's Biscayne Corridor East Annex application on the city's March 10th, 2015 City Council meeting agenda for discussion. The Village of Biscayne Park will have representatives of the village, it's us, present at the meeting should you have any questions. The village turned a corner in December 2013 when it elected a mayor and commission that has been working consistently to move forward with its long-term vision. It is the village's intent to strengthen its fiscal condition, improve the surrounding areas, and continue to be a good neighbor to the city of North Miami. Our annexation application will allow us to achieve those goals. We believe that the village's long-term fiscal improvement will not only benefit the village, but also our surrounding communities and our service providers, which you are. We are grateful for your willingness to continue your application at the March 2nd, 2015 County Planning Advisory Board meeting. As you know, we entered an objection at that meeting in order to convey the village's hope that an amicable resolution could be reached and that the purpose of our objection was to simply preserve our position. And I'll explain a little bit more about that in a second. We would like the opportunity to continue to work with the city manager and his staff to find a mutually acceptable solution. We are requesting that the City of North Miami consider asking Miami-Dade County to continue your application to a date and time uncertain at the next Planning Advisory Board. Despite our procedural objection to the application at the Planning Advisory Board, the village remains ready and willing to work with the city on this solution. At this time, when the future of annexation in Miami-Dade County is unclear, it is our hope that our two neighboring municipalities will reach a resolution to our competing applications that is mutually beneficial to both cities. Again, thank you for your time and consideration. And that's signed by Mayor David Coviello. Again, I keep saying, and the letter explains that it's procedural. It was a procedural objection. At the last meeting, the village took the extraordinary step of coming to another municipality's meeting to request this. And the reason we did that was we saw what was coming ahead was that our only opportunity to speak on any of your applications was at the Planning Advisory Board. And so we came after months of this festering to come and try to seek a discussion here. And the request at that meeting was to defer the item completely. What this board voted on was to defer the item to come back here on March 10th to discuss it. What that leaves us procedurally is on the last Planning Advisory Board, we were at a position where you all had not made a decision at all. We would not have spoken until tonight. And then had whatever happened on the Planning Advisory Board, we would have had no opportunity to voice an objection. And obviously, yes, I mean, Scott, Councilman Galvin asked a good question. Why would we object to all of your applications when not all of them are materially affected? And I think I spoke to that at the meeting, and I explained, you know, this is North Miami. Everyone knows, you know, you look at the map, you see North Miami, you see the village of Biscayne Park, you see the size of the two cities, you see the budgets of the two cities. We don't have much negotiation powers here. There aren't any. And really, the only thing we can do is object. Whether the PAB agrees to it or not, which they didn't at the last meeting, that's up for them to decide. But that's our only negotiating tool. And we didn't go in there angry. We didn't go in there trying to, you know, cause problems. Again, this is a procedural matter. We just objected. we understand, based on communications that we've had with both staff and the elected officials, and we know you've spoken to your constituency, that there probably isn't support for you to pull in your application. We wish there was, but it probably isn't. We understand the reality of that. All I can tell you, though, is I sit on the League of Cities Annexation Committee, and I wish someone from the city could come to one of those meetings and listen to the other cities who have applications in, who've had applications in for 14 years that are not being approved by the county because cities are opposed to one another. Now, we can't wait 14 years, which is why we're fighting so hard. But what we don't want to have happen is that at the next planning advisory board, we go there and they decide, as they've done in the past, which is, and you can ask anyone who's been at these meetings, they say, you know what, 2 cities are fighting over it. We're not making any decision at all. And then that's where we are. And again, this isn't theoretical. This is reality. There are cities out there, and you can talk to them. I'll give you the names and numbers, but they're waiting 14 years for their annexation application. We just can't wait that long. And as Councilman Galvin stated at the last meeting, there is no commercial property in Biscayne Park. There is none. And I've spoken before to members of your staff, and they asked me, why would you guys do that? Why would you pull your application? And it really comes down to just being a good neighbor. We do receive services from Biscayne Park. A strong Biscayne, a strong village of Biscayne Park is going to be a good neighbor to the city of North Miami, and that's really all we have to say. And obviously, you all can make whatever decision you want, and then we'll all proceed. But again, we hope that whatever happens, we still can remain good neighbors to one another. Thank you. Oh, and the village manager.
Good evening. I'm Heidi Siegel. I'm the city manager for the Village of Biscayne Park. I am also an AICP certified planner, so my whole career I've worked in the land planning field. So I want to address 2 things. From the village's perspective, and I think as elected officials you can relate to this, the village was talking about annexation specifically of this area since 2012. Since that time, they've went through a change of a manager. That's what brought me in. They went through a change of a commission. There was disagreement on the previous commission about moving forward. And we, much like yourself, are very fortunate right now to be in a position where we have a commission that works together. It's not always a 5-0 vote. Sometimes it's a 4-1 vote. But we're always moving forward together. And that is how this application came about. And that is why the application that had been completed earlier in 2013 did not proceed to the county until March of 2014. The election took place in December 2013. That was my first day, was the day before the election. A week later was the first commission meeting. We discussed it and had our public hearing at the February 2014 meeting and immediately transmitted the application to the county. So it was #1 priority of this new commission, and as soon as we could do it, we took the application that had already been completed by our planning consultants and went forward with that application. So I just wanted to clear that up. It's not that we were copying North Miami, but we too had been looking for opportunities to expand our boundaries and our financial condition. All we're asking for is compromise at this point, to look at our 2 applications, and I have a visual that we use. I don't know if your staff has anything they can share with you, but we each have applications that include different areas. This shows our application, which is the green commercial corridor that we both are seeking. We also include the residential section behind it, which is 2 separate residential commercial properties, rental properties, and then the industrial area that takes it back to Biscayne Park. Your application includes this green portion here and the portion of land on the other side of Biscayne Boulevard. From my understanding, what is most important or could be very advantageous to the city of North Miami is that portion on the east side of Biscayne Boulevard. When I put on my land planner glasses and I look at that portion of your application, that portion of your application is no different than your northwest application that went to PAB last week, which is basically the rounding off or the squaring off of your boundaries. It's right there in the middle. It's a hole in your boundary middles, and it makes a nice edge. This portion on the west side of Biscayne Boulevard isn't necessarily that same. So if you look from apples to apples, that portion on the east side achieves what you're trying to achieve on the west side of the city now. And what we're asking for is that portion on the west side of Biscayne Boulevard. We do not have an interest, and we would fully support your application going forward on the east side of Biscayne Boulevard if we just had the opportunity to diversify our tax base. You as the elected officials, myself as the manager, Mr. Ghani as the manager, your finance director are the only ones that go through that very, very hard budgeting process for 3 to 4 months out of the year. And I ask you to put yourself in our position, which is to take out all of your commercial ad valorem tax base when you go to prepare your budget. And that's what we have. We have homesteaded properties that can only go up a certain amount. We are a very stable residential neighborhood, which is great on one portion. The other portion is that property values don't really flip over, so we don't have that increase. And that's the word diversify is very important to us, and this is our one opportunity to diversify our tax base and become more solvent and more fiscally responsible as your neighbors. We could look over on the other side of Griffin Canal, of course, that has been brought up. Your planning director and I have discussed that at length, and that does nothing for us. It only adds more residential tax base to us. It doesn't give us the diversity that a commercial tax base gives to you. So I just kind of wanted to share with you as a professional, someone who works with the commission on a daily basis, some of our concerns. It's not, our intention is not to stop North Miami from achieving its goals. Just as this is in your comprehensive plan to annex, it is in our comprehensive plan to annex. Just as it's something you have been working on for many years, we go back to the early 90s when we have mayors and commissioners making this a priority to annex, and it just never happened for whatever reason. And now is our time, and now is probably our most pressing time from a financial standpoint. Thank you.
Do you have anything else to add?
No, I think.
Public hearing is now open.
My name is Robert Houston, 1150 Northeast 123rd Street, and a proud resident of North Miami, and I was also a very proud resident of Biscayne Park. I live in that section of North Miami which we almost call Biscayne Park North because it's abutting Biscayne Park. My questions to both you and to the village of Biscayne Park is what particular area east of the railroad tracks, west of Biscayne Boulevard, is under consideration for annexation by Biscayne Park? And there's a reason of concern, and it's called ingress and egress, because there are only two roads. One is Northeast 108th Street that goes over the railroad tracks, and the other is Northeast 125th Street that goes over the railroad tracks. As a resident of the area we call Palomar Park, we would be directly impacted if the annexation area was like 119th, 120th, 121st Street on the east side of the railroad tracks, because there is no viable ingress and egress over the railroad tracks from Biscayne Park. If there was any kind of police activity that needed to be addressed or any kind of emergency activity that needed to be addressed, there would be it would be Biscayne Park's responsibility to answer those calls. And I personally don't want to have police cars speeding through my neighborhood to go over the railroad tracks, you know, go up and over and down the bend. And so that's why I would like to see what part, because for me, having been a resident of both Biscayne Park and North Miami, I could see where the line should be drawn, which is 116th Street, because that would give a fair amount to North Miami, and from 116th Street south to 108th Street, which would give some commercial development to Biscayne Park. That would be the median boundary where the county park is with the palm trees. That floods. It's also a flood zone. So that's something else to be considered. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, would you like me to answer?
For the map?
The simple answer is it's our intention to have a police substation over on the other side because, and that's part of our annexation application because it's a different kind of policing than we usually do in our residential neighborhoods. So it's not our intention to have our police officers driving back and forth, but instead have someone stationed over there during their shift.
All right.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and staff. Annie Montgomery, 2082 Laurel Lane. Our application was in before Biscayne Park. I recall when this all got started. We have been good neighbors to Biscayne Park. When we were doing our LRDs, is that what you call it? And they didn't want high rises or over four stories on 121st Street. And we respected that. What we would like to annex are what's designed, the map that's laid out. I believe that we abut the buildings right on Biscayne Boulevard, the office buildings that were brought forth back in October or September of 2013. Biscayne Park can annex south of San Souci Boulevard. There's a lot of good commercial property there if they want to annex. But Biscayne Park always prided themselves in being such a nice, cozy village, well-maintained, and low in crime. That was one of the things that was brought in front of us as residents of North Miami. So I thoroughly agree with what our staff has laid out. I think we should stay with the plan and continue as whatever we have to do. And if this county can't agree because the two municipalities can't agree, then so be it. Leave it in the county. Thank you.
Carol Prager, 2509 Northeast 135th Street. This is a major intersection in North Miami, a major intersection of North Miami. And I believe that it should be in North Miami. I have a couple of questions. I couldn't see the map very clearly, but when I drove around the area, I believe this is unincorporated. Northeast 107th Street at Biscayne Boulevard, on the northwest corner, there is a 10-story office building. I believe it might be occupied on the bottom floor by Bank of America. I'm not 100% correct. There is Kmart. There are strip malls on both sides of Biscayne Boulevard in that area. There is business on Northeast 6th Avenue. Why aren't any of those areas being considered? Do they only want to cherry pick the very best? And they only want two buildings to offset their lack of retail? I'm sorry. This doesn't make sense to me. I've lived here 52 years. I want this council to fight for this. I'm in agreement with Ms. Montgomery. I say we hold our line. And maybe somewhere down the road, they can examine the areas that I just recommended and explain to us why that isn't an acceptable annexation for them. Thank you.
William Welsh, San Souci Homeowners. I'm here on behalf of the homeowners. The area that we're attempting to annex is basically viewed as part of North Miami. Many of us have to use Northeast 16th to get through and forth. We use that light. We go through all these things. It is insane that we would even consider allowing another city to set up a little outpost in the middle of what is North Miami, truly North Miami. They keep on touting that they are good neighbors. No good neighbor would go to a meeting and on a procedural issue, object to everything. If they objected to one thing because they wanted it, that's one thing. But they're not showing that they're good neighbors. We have been good neighbors. They are stabbing us in the back. this council has to stand up and fight for the citizens of North Miami.
Public hearing is still open.
Good evening, Beverly Hilton, 12495 Northwest 6th Avenue. I'm in agreement with the gentleman that just spoke. I took a tour of the area, and it's just crazy what they're trying to do. I thought that was North Miami all along. And again, if they were good neighbors, they would not have gone and opposed to an annexation that doesn't have anything to do with them. They're not good neighbors. We look at the area that they're taking the 2 buildings, and they're taking the apartment building. They have to drive through North Miami to get to those buildings. It's only fitting that they go south from 108th. They have Kmart, as the gentleman said, and all the other areas. I think we should stand firm, and we need to keep that property. Thank you.
Okay. Public hearing is still open.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Kenneth Each, 776 Northeast 125th Street. I found out a few moments ago that I am now the Vice President of Central City Homeowners, so on their behalf I'm also speaking, and on the behalf of Emerald Lake I'm speaking. And let me just take a deep breath, because I heard a lot of bollock tonight from Biscayne Park, and I am absolutely upset. I think that was the unmitigated goal of our city to the south of us to come in here and try to sabotage this annex plan. First, let me get this off my chest. They say there are good neighbors. Well, to the city manager, you weren't here then, but I can remember when those power poles came through the city of North Miami. Those 100-foot power poles that were supposed to go through Miami Shores and Biscayne Park. But the 2 Tony communities got together secretly without inviting us in there for a conference. And the next thing you know, from that power station on Northeast 14th Avenue, it went north to 135th Street, down 135th Street, then down Northwest 7th Avenue, instead of going through Miami Shores or, God forbid, Biscayne Park. But this city was not invited to that meeting, so don't tell me that you're good neighbors. Okay, the second thing was our land use. When we came up with that, they threatened to hold our land use program up 7 years ago if we didn't submit to the 4 stories. But we did. We were nice people. And then I can remember reading the Miami Herald several times, and they were talking about their crime statistics, and they had numerous burglaries and a robbery over there. And one of the quotes that really incensed me was that those criminals probably came from North Miami. So anyway, let me get my blood pressure down after hearing what great neighbors they are, because I don't think so. And I even spoken to, last night I got a call from a few of the residents of Biscayne Park who know me in my more calmer moments, and they disagree with this absolute bollock. You know, John Adams said the purpose of government is to make its people happy. Well, how do we make our people happy? By providing for the domestic tranquility, the security of our people, by providing good health, water, so forth and so on, by providing for the protection of our citizens. You know, I just heard tonight that they're going to put a substation into that area. My God. I looked at page 34 of their report. They're going to hire 2 officers at a cost of $134,000 and 1 part-time code enforcement officer at the cost of $25,000. My, isn't that great? And here are these 2 buildings which impact our traffic pattern and everything that we do out there are right here in the core of our city. We have a major accident out there. Who gets the effect of it? Not Tony Biscayne Park, But our citizens on Biscayne Boulevard, our citizens in Keystone, our citizens west of the boulevard, our citizens south of the boulevard in San Souci, 123rd Street, we're the ones that get that traffic accident repercussion, not the park. But oh my goodness gracious, they see these two towers over there in this beautiful shopping center. Oh, let us grab that. Oh, we're going to grab that nice Tony community right behind it to the west of it. Let us grab that. The tax dollars are there. Our demand for service would be very little. Well, let's put it in the context of the world that we live in today. We are a self-contained police department. God forbid we should have an act of terrorism or a hostage situation over there. We have our own SWAT team to respond. We have our own homicide team, our own hostage negotiators. We are a full-fledged police department. And if something should happen in that towers, who do you think those people would want to respond? Biscayne Park with its substation, or the city of North Miami with its professional police department? I can guarantee you John Adams would say to you today, to this city council, to the citizens of North Miami, and to our dear friends from Biscayne Park, yes, yes, I would want the city of North Miami to respond. You know, when I heard this, I'm sorry, I don't usually get this emotional. But I can remember when those buildings went up.
We have to wrap it up.
Okay, sir. I remember when those buildings went up, and they wanted to come into the city, and we had turned them down many, many years ago, and they get our water. They get our water. They get everything else from the city. Do not capitulate to this. Ladies and gentlemen, if I may, they would collect $429,285 in taxes. We would collect $350,000 in taxes. We would cost us $159,000, and Biscayne Park said it would cost them $159,713 to take this land in. If they are so interested in providing for the domestic tranquility and equality of life, then let them annex some of that commercial area that's a little bit depleted behind the railroad tracks over there, behind Peachtree Drive, or let them go down Northeast 6th Avenue on the other side of the canal and take some of that commercial corridor down there. But I beg you, I beseech you, the City Council of North Miami, stand your guns. I'd rather see that stay unincorporated than capitulate to Biscayne Park, the goal that they brought forth today. I mean, I just found that reprehensible. Sorry to be so emotional. Thank you.
All right.
Ilana Baroni Burdick, 13502 Northeast 24th Place. And first, I want to say thank you, Kenny Each. Made me smile, and you should get more emotional more often. It gave us all a lighter sense here. I've been around, I'm a New York transplant, been around for about 20 years, and been through many different city managers, council meetings. I sat through the first go-round with Swerdlow, every single public negotiations, and all the ups and downs with that. I've sat in on charter review boards, on the comprehensive plan, seeing how that works, all to learn how things go. And I learned a lot along the way. What struck me in talking to some politicians in our city is that our boundaries are so irregular, it can drive you nuts every time you look at the map. We needed to work on it. So for the past 20 years, all off and on, the conversation has come up about our boundaries. And then lo and behold, it is in our comprehensive plan that we are almost mandated to do this. Well, it's about time we're doing it. I've been driving around the city, going up and down Biscayne Boulevard. Few lights here, few lights there because the traffic is awful. But I am noticing that there's a lot of development going on. There are empty lots south of us on Biscayne Boulevard that can be developed. There's other lots that are being developed. Other cities are developing around us. We need to remember that in our history, we have traded land, given it away to North Miami Beach so we could have a post office. We lost a Target, tax revenue. We lost a Costco, tax revenue for us. We cannot afford to lose about $300,000 net income to our city. I'm trusting what the figures are that the manager is giving us in the paperwork I've been reading. We have Biscayne Landing, but we can't put our eggs in one basket. We've had foxholes and bumps along the way, and we're not done with Biscayne Landing. We need to expand and provide, and we need to go forward. We can sleep at night because we know we're going forward, and this would help everybody else to know that the city is doing the right thing with the annexation. Thank you very much.
Laura Hill, 13075 Griffin Boulevard. I feel for the village of Biscayne Park. Their situation's not easy. They have a low amount of money to work with. But I'm not a resident of Biscayne Park. I'm a resident of North Miami. And if we, as a city, are going to give up approximately $300,000 because we want to be good neighbors, and then the residents of North Miami come to you and ask for money for more code compliance officers and more police officers, and you tell us that the money is not there, and yet you're going to give up a potential to increase the revenue, I have a problem with that as a resident of North Miami. Thank you.
All right, public hearing is now closed. Council members, any comments?
I have comments. I'm sure
Go ahead.
we all do. Thank you, everybody, for coming to speak this evening. To me, the parcel we're talking about has always been a natural extension of our city. A lot of people have always thought it is North Miami. My biggest concern, not good neighbor, bad neighbor, I don't think that's really the issue tonight, although I'm not pleased that they spoke against our annexation of two other parcels. That was pretty annoying when I heard about it. But again, we go up Biscayne Boulevard. We have shopping centers, we have restaurants that are on two different parcels. The Melting Pot, part of the parking lot is North Miami, part's North Miami Beach. Up further on 163rd Street, half the shopping center is North Miami, half is North Miami Beach. We're trying to fix that. Why do we want our Home Depot is North Miami, across the street be Biscayne Park? Where, I mean, that makes no sense. You have an accident on Biscayne Boulevard. If it's on the east side, do our police take care of it? You're on the west side, are we gonna wait for Biscayne Park? We have an incident at the two towers. There's not a lot of maintenance there, but if we do have an incident, our police are gonna be there like that. Do we expect them to say, no, it's not our job, you just wait for Biscayne Park? It makes no sense. It just doesn't make logistical sense to have that not be in North Miami. That being said, I've spoken to the residents in the Palomar section. They've brought up very good points. In Biscayne Park, don't you dare even think about going over 25 miles an hour. Yet they will be able to speed through our city to get to their emergencies, and a substation of 2 officers. I mean, they've got to be busy. They can't be full-time. The logistics of getting and servicing that property just, to me, is difficult. I think we're still going to be servicing it. We do provide the water to the area. And another, so logistically, it just makes no sense. I don't even know how it makes sense to take the new project, the building project, which is west of 16th Avenue, but they're taking that, we haven't objected. I'm a business person. I try to run our city like a business. I try to speak for our citizens and the taxpayer dollars. I make a living doing real estate closings. I don't turn around and look at the attorney down the hall and say, you know, he's not doing so well this year. I'm going to refer my clients to him. This is a business. We don't do that. I've been told that we have a bigger budget. We have more money. We do have more money because we have a lot more expenses. We do have a downtown. We do have Biscayne Boulevard. We do have major highways, thoroughfares. We have big expenses. We don't have extra money to spend. And as your representative, I'm not really willing to give up any revenue or have it cost anything. And I'd like to shore up our borders. So I'm going to make a motion that we go ahead and continue with a resolution we passed a year ago to proceed with our annexation.
Before I have a question, Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
And we have 3 applications.
That's correct.
Okay. Do you have an idea of how much money those 2 other parcels are going to generate? You said about 200 for that commercial.
This
What
one,
about
yeah.
the two other
Tanya,
ones?
do you have those numbers for the other two parcels?
Combined, it's about 100,000. And I just want to point out it's annual revenue, tax revenue.
For the two?
Correct.
100,000 each?
Combined.
Combined.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's an aggregate number.
And I second Councilwoman Key's motion.
Nope, you don't have anything to say?
I just want to thank all of the residents who reached out to me on this item in the last couple of weeks. I hear your message. I have reversed my course from the last 2 weeks. To Biscayne Park, please rethink your strategies going forward. It's very true that we very often see your government in our chambers unhappy with our actions, but we've never done that to you guys. 2 weeks ago, the morning of our last meeting, one of your attorneys called me. I immediately stopped everything I was doing at work. I pulled the city manager out of meetings. I got them together. I thought there was a discussion ongoing, and I felt blindsided that then that very same night, even though it wasn't on our agenda, several Biscayne Park reps rose during public discussion, and I thought, God, I thought we were working here on something. So you lost me right there. I explained that to your attorney that next morning, and then your mayor just yesterday. And I got to tell you, it was bad strategy to go after our other two applications that are in totally far-flung places from Biscayne Park, just sort of out of spite is how I felt it. I love the park. I want us to be good neighbors. I think we do have a good relationship, but you all do need to sort of fall back and think about how good neighbors truly interact, and hopefully we won't come across these things again. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Well, like I stated earlier, we had our application in a year prior to the village of Biscayne Park taking the application. I find it hard to believe that they had no knowledge whatsoever that our application was there during the time that you brought your application to Miami-Dade County. And how and when you became aware that we had an application there, I don't know. I think it's pretty much it shows that from the inception of the whole thing that you're acting in bad faith, knowing that we had an application there. And if you're interested truly and you know you're in need, if you're in need and you know that I have something that you may need, I think it would be with the village to come to us prior to taking your application there. Hey neighbor, I see that you have this piece of land that you're asking the Miami-Dade County to annex to your city, and this is our problem. Would you relinquish that right and then allow us to please acquire that piece of land? I think had that been done, we wouldn't be having this discussion tonight. And we probably would agree. We probably would. Chances are we probably would, but this is the product of a poison tree because you acted in bad faith. And you continue to act in bad faith only not too long ago. Trying to make us lose two other annexations that had absolutely nothing to do with this piece, of land. And we want to remain good neighbors, and I remain convinced that it is still possible. But this is a piece of land that is, very important to us as a tax base. So you are a little sister. You acted in bad faith. We may just slap you on the wrist a little bit, but we are still sisters. Right?
Right.
That's all I have to say.
Well, we have a motion on the floor by Vice Mayor Keys to move forward with the resolution that was previously passed for the annexation, and it was seconded by Councilman Bieneme. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone wishes to record a nay? Item passes 4-0. Tab H.
Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
Tab H, discussion on approval of sponsorship in the amount of $2,000 for eStop, a 501c3 not-for-profit organization dedicated to eradicating the school to prison, a network of transformative schools and educational opportunities for the underserved and unserved youth.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, City Manager, staff. My name is Henry Brown. I reside at 1751 Northwest 166th Street, Miami Garden, Florida. And I'm back.
Well, pretty much tonight, all we wanted from you were the document.
The documents
for the for your 501c3.
Correct. And in accordance at the last council meeting was directed to make sure that all the proper paperwork is received per our resolution 2012-133. Responsible staff was Natasha, and I believe all the documents for this organization was received. They are requesting a $2,000 donation to the 501c3 from Iraq.
Can you go over each document one by one?
You wanna go ahead.
To make sure that we have everything, so we don't.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
What's your name?
A number of documents were requested.
Speak clearly into that mic.
Say your
'cause
name
folks in
and
the-
your
Good
position
evening.
with the city for the residents.
A number of documents were.
Say your name.
Your name and your position for the residents.
Natasha Colebrook Williams, Chief of Staff. A number of documents in accordance with Resolution 2012-133 was requested. The organization provided proof of registration with the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services as a charitable organization. The expiration date is January 23rd, 2016. They are also registered with Sunbiz as an active organization. They also provided a statement showing that their organization provide residents within the city of North Miami services. They operate in two different facilities, Miami-Dade Regional Juvenile Detention Center, as well as Turner Knight sorry, I'm a little nervous. Turner Knight Center. They serve annually 2,500 people. 20% of their participants are North Miami residents, which equates to approximately 500 individuals between the ages of 14 to 18. We also requested that they provide their a list of their board of directors as well as an organizational chart. The last item that they were asked to provide are their financials, which are all included in the council report that was provided. We asked for everything that's within our resolution, as well as additional documentation, which was the financials.
Okay. That's it.
That's it.
Now, we didn't vote on that last time, did we?
No, you were told to get all the paperwork and bring it back to the dais. So
So,
bring it back
so,
to the.
so we need to vote on it now.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask?
No, we had public hearing last time. You want to say something before we do public hearing?
No, I can wait.
Public hearing is now open. Public hearing closed.
That was a long wait. All right, Mr. Manager.
Sure.
We're going to see a steady stream of these. We have a CDBG process in the winter time where nonprofits put in all of their paperwork, they're vetted, and they come forward. This is being awarded outside of that process.
That's correct.
Why didn't your staff recommend he wait and come back in the 2015 CDBG process? Is he still eligible at this point to come back during that process later this year? And since this isn't in our budget, where are you getting the money for this $2,000?
It's an unbudgeted item, that's correct. The CDBG staff actually do have the program, as you've mentioned, and that application actually starts within the next few months for the next fiscal year. All allocations for the 14-15 has already been done or allocated.
I meant 15-16, the one
Yes.
that's happening later this year.
The 15-16 process will start in the next few months, and we could request that the applicant submit an application for that as part of the CDBG allocations.
I'm still unclear. Where are you getting the money from? What program are we cutting or eliminating that frees up this $2,000? And when there's another group here next week for their $2,000, where are you going to get that money? We're setting a precedent tonight.
It's unbudgeted right now. The money is unbudgeted, and again, some other program will have to be cut for this to be funded.
Fellow council members, and I haven't even had the opportunity to discuss, how the program is going to affect North Miamians. So you say 20% are North Miamians. Last time you were saying you were going to do something at North Miami High School. Is that still the case?
No, I thought the last time that I was here, I thought I made it clear that we do mentoring program to kids from this area and other areas in Miami-Dade County. Now, if you give us $2,000 right now, I could promise you what we're trying to do right now, we're trying to raise enough capital. We already have these kids in JDC, from North Miami, from Miami Garden, from Goulds, P. Ryan. We see all these kids, Little Haiti, everywhere. Little Havana, we see these kids. And we're dealing with them right now with no money from the city that they come from. So we're doing that right now on our own. And the money that we have now was donated by philanthropists. People come in and give to us. So what I came up with as the liaison and a community organizer is that I was going to go to every city, every commissioner in Miami-Dade County and ask them to bear some of that burden. Now, we have grants coming in. We turned down grants from the trust fund, the Children's Trust Fund. We turned that down because we wanted to do our Freedom School differently, because we saw areas where those have failed, and we don't want to fail. And we have a staff that we're building, everything. I mean, you done walk with the Walk-In One Stop, I believe. If you haven't, you probably will in the future. The Walk-In One Stop is the anti-gang strategy with Mr. Wayne Rollins. You probably went with that. We're in every community. It's going to be in Miami Garden, Opelika, next Monday. It's every other Monday or sometime on Monday we do this. So we haven't asked the city of North Miami for not one dime yet, and we've been over here twice, and we've been dealing with your kids for a while now. So we came up with that we want everybody to participate, because these kids need help, and we got the staff and the team teaching them. They got newsletters coming out. Some of these kids to turn around. You haven't seen those kids yet, but I guarantee you that East Stop is going to be a major player in North Miami in the up and coming years. And we're already striking at Northwestern School this year, and we didn't ask Liberty City for not one dime yet to put that school inside Northwestern.
It
So
truly sounds like you're doing great work. I'm not trying to belittle the work that you do. I wasn't even going to get into that tonight. My concern is this is an unbudgeted unbudgeted allocation. So, when the next nonprofit group comes forward next week, and the next week, and the next week, we've set a precedent, and you're going to have to, somewhere, I guess, the line gets drawn. I don't know where that line gets drawn. I can't be supportive tonight only because I don't like the timing of it all. If this was part of our 501c3, our CDBG program, I could be supportive. If this was included in the budget, I could be supportive. Out of the blue, not budgeted, what do I say to the next group that's here next week? If I say yes tonight, I have to say yes to each one of them.
can I make a suggestion?
Give you your money and just tell the rest of them no?
No. No. What you can do, you can give it to us at this particular point. And I don't know how you can do it. I don't know how you do what you do, but you can give it to us and make it a part of that what you're suggesting now. Make it a part of that at this point, so I wouldn't have to come back here.
Yeah, we can't.
It's two separate funding. CDBG is a federal funding program that we allocate the funds every year.
So as I understood it, Mr. Brown, is this a drive that you are having for a certain amount of time?
Yes, because we have people that has pledged
because
that
you want to match.
If we
whatever
raise
is being-
$25,000, if we go out in the community and raise $25,000, no matter if it comes from elected officials or people inside the community, businesses, clergy, whatever, if we raise $25,000, we have people that will match that. And we're trying to get this money before the summer, because we're going to have a staff at Northwestern, and we have to pay that staff. We got
So if we fail to approve this tonight, you will be losing $4,000. $4,000.
Yeah, I would lose this $2,000 and the $2,000 that we would get from
the philanthropist.
Mayor, I have a question. What is your budget? or as of right now?
I sent everything, the whole statement in. I sent it in.
You don't know how much it is?
I don't. I came from work. That's why I'm dressed like I am tonight.
Do you
I
have
was
an
in a
idea
rush.
of
It was
his,
raining.
25,000. The paperwork he supplied, the direct public support and corporation contributions, individual and businesses, $25,000.
Okay.
And as soon as we get $25,000 more raised, we will get an additional $25,000 instantly.
Any other comments?
I do. Great organization. I can't think of any better thing than to keep kids out of the jails and gangs. But folks, we have to stop coming to our city every week, 2,000 and 2,000 and 2,000. And I'm sorry, this organization is not a city organization. I take your word, but I'm a business person. Again, you're saying you help 20%. There's nothing showing me that 20% of the people you're helping, other than the fact that you're saying it, that 20% of your kids are North Miami residents. You're up here and you're saying you've got a $25,000 match for our 2,000, you're going to get 2,000. I don't see that anywhere.
Man, we go into TGK in the county jails and in the juvenile justice system.
I get that. Let me just finish, please. Okay, it's not a conversation. I just want to make my comments. Councilman Galvin has brought up we have CDBG. We have other organizations, wonderful organizations in our city, and they come back year after year, and they put in their applications. Blood, sweat, and tears. They put in pages and pages of their financials. They sit in our audience. They get vetted, and they really work to get that money. And I think it's so unfair for our local organizations that absolutely feed and take care of and educate and mentor our children here in the city, and we know that, to have them go through those kind of hoops and then have a stranger from outside our city come here, give us a couple pieces of paper and say, I need money. It's not fair to our organizations. Please come back, bring your documentation, and put yourself down for the CDBG or any other grant programs. But to just give out money every time a stranger comes is not fair. You're showing a $25,000 income. I don't see how you can even do all this work. I know you're trying to get money. It doesn't show expenses on your financial income statement, and that's part of something that we look at is if we give $2,000 to an organization, is it really going to do anything? Is it really going to make a difference? So right now, it's just not fair to our other organizations who have been cut. Our own neighbors have been cut like crazy, and for people to come in from the outside and ask us for money and do this on a regular basis, again, a precedent. Next week it'll be the next person, and I don't even like this being on our agenda because really it's not fun looking at you and saying no to what such a wonderful cause. I hate being put in this position, but again, this is a business and we have to go by the rules.
Madam Clerk?
Can I make a comment before? And I want to thank you for the help that you are providing to the community. And you said you're serving about 20% of North Miami residents. How can you prove that?
Well, myself, the way I can do it, I can go and I can get you the names and addresses of those juveniles in JDC and TGK that we see. And when we look at their resident, where they're from, we know where they're from. We know what their grades are in school. We know what they were when they first went in, and we know what they are now. We have a data with all those kids' information in it, and we know. We got students from Florida International University, Barry, that do our data entry work on these juveniles and all of their background, what they was doing in school in North Miami, when they started feeling, how many absentees did they have prior to their incarceration. We have all of that information, but I didn't know that I needed to bring that information to let you know because I thought that because we are partners with the Miami-Dade County School Board. I mean, we're partners with them. We're partner with the anti-gang strategy. We're partners with them, and we've been working with them not just in 2014 or 2013, but in 2012 as well. You know, so this is not something new, and we've been doing it on our own. And right now, coming to this meeting tonight, from where I came from, and I came from all the way, almost on 75 in Miramar, all the way over here for this meeting. The organization that I work for, I receive a stipend from them only when I request it, and I've only requested it twice in the last couple of years. I don't receive a pay for what I do when I go in to see those kids. I don't ask for not one dime. But I know they need me when I come in there, because when they come back to your community, if you want them to be in the same condition that they were, then all you have to do is just stop us from being able to do what we do. And we've been stopping them. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but we are.
No, I understand your point, and I know exactly who's in jail
Only thing I can
and
do
who
is
are
bring
there.
you, I can
And
bring you a list of their name and addresses, the school they attended, and that's all I can do.
I can trust your word, and me, I will vote for it.
Thank you very
pass on
much. Well, the only
One other thing, sir, Mr. Mayor, please, I'm sorry for cutting you off, but also the anti-gang strategy, Walking One Stop, came over here in North Miami twice this year.
I know that.
This
I
year,
took
and-
part
and
of
when
it
they
a
came,
couple of
they
months
did
ago.
not ask for one dime, and they knocked on every door in North Miami
I
in
know.
the community that
I
they
know.
went in, and they asked the residents, "What help do you
Okay,
need?"
Mr. Brown.
We
Mr.
know
Brown.
that.
Thank you
I
very
know
much. Well, it's it's very unfortunate because Mr. Brown was here a couple of weeks ago along with another organization, and we thought, I mean, we actually asked him to come back to bring the documents, and in his mind, the only thing he had to do tonight was to present the document, and then the item would have passed. So, I mean, we had all the information that we needed as far as what the program is. I thought that assessment was done, and that the only thing that we would review tonight are the document that we asked him to. I don't think it's fair to him, where he could have been somewhere else tonight, doing
Since
whatever
they've been
he
in North
does.
Miami twice,
Yeah.
and
They've been
they went and knocked
in
at
North Miami
different
twice,
doors
to serve us and to help
for social
other
service,
kids.
and they
And
don't
I
ask for
think,
any money.
I think hold on a second. No, it's not. Well, we should have deciphered that when he was here 2 weeks ago. When he was here 2 weeks ago, we promised them the only thing that would preclude us from approving this was to bring his document.
All the paperwork.
We have it on paper. We said the only thing that would preclude us from approving this was for him to bring his, his document. I mean, to have him leave his activities, come here, all his documents are here, and then now we're telling him something totally different. I think I don't think it's fair. So, Miss Clerk,
And I even witnessed the work that you have done in North Miami and the two work that you did in the city.
Miss Clerk, can you call?
Actually, we need a motion.